Yo, what's going on, guys? And we're doing my Denver Nuggets off-season prediction, not predictions, but priorities. The predictions will be done in the future, but basically we're previewing, prioritizing what they need to look at this off-season to improve to get back to the NBA Finals after losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves. My girlfriend grew up in Colorado. Her mom lives in Centennial. Her dad now lives in Roxbury Park, but they lived in Highlands Ranch. But either way, I digress. Let's get ahead and let's talk about this Denver Nuggets squad that is still very good. I think this is just a classic case that they thought the young guys on the bench were, ready enough to contribute day one. And I think maybe they were a bit more green behind the ears than one was anticipating, as they were. I really do think they were expecting their team to be, it was going to be ready to go ahead and be a contending team, continue to be a contending team with, Christian Braun and those boys off the bench. So I think they're looking at this and they're like, okay, I think this is a very easy fix for Calvin Booth. They are locked into this squad, and it's a good squad. It's a very good squad, but they're locked into it for the foreseeable future. I think there are small moves around the edges that they can do. They have the 28th pick, and for them, if a guy like Khalil Ware, or they need a true backup big. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade this pick and then they go out and get 2 second-round picks and they bring in a Coleman Hawkins. Again, I think they need, or they get a Jalen Tyson, who's kind of like a Josh Hart guy from California. But Contavious Caldwell-Pope has the player option. He's going to accept that because he's not going to get more money than that. Reggie Jackson probably picking up his. DeAndre Jordan's gone. They're going to bring back Braxton Key, Jay Huff, and Colin Gillespie at least. Blacko Chanchar. They'll probably pick up the team option. I think this team still has a championship window. The whole thing is this team, unlike Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, they have to decide if Gordon and Murray, what type of extensions they're going to give him. And they got to decide if they're going to keep Caldwell-Pope or try to exchange him for cheaper. This team has been building their bench with, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson, Zeke Nnaji. And those players are under contract, which allowed Denver to sign a multitude of minimum salary free agents. And after averaging, those guys really aren't playing. So for this team, I think for them, if they include both those players in the first round pick, they're going to be at $193.4 million, and that'll exceed the second apron if the current roster remains in place. So Jackson has till June 25th to opt in and June 29th, and Denver's still over the 171 luxury tax if both players decline their options or if they trade them. So they would have the 5.1 tax middle level and the first round and the veteran minimum exception to replace each player. Denver has until June 24th to exercise the $2.4 million team option, and because of the money thing, I would not be surprised if they do let Chanchar walk. So I think Contavious Caldwell-Pope is one of the more durable and top defenders. He had a bad playoffs, and he's also an unrestricted free agent if the player option for next season is declined. Look, he's played 96% of the games. He never missed more than 4 consecutive games, but I really do believe that he didn't play good in this postseason, and he might be someone that if you extend him now, you might be stuck with an unfavorable contract and a player hard to move on that I don't know how effective he will be if his athleticism starts to wane. So I think he could be someone. I think you got to look at deals that keep you. I think what the team needs is do they believe in the development of all those young guys, Jalen Pickett, Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson, Zeke Nnaji, in drafting, or do they need to go out and get veterans? I think continuing to build through the draft is the cheapest way to do it, and trading those 2 picks and then going out and hoping that, for them, it would be another big, like a Coleman Hawkins, and then either getting like a Tyler Kolek, or going out in free agency and bringing in a Chris Dunn, or getting, somebody who's a bit more healthier, which would help them tremendously. But I think there's tons of options for them, and being patient and not, dedicating money to the wrong places, to me, is one of probably the more important things for them to focus on. I'm just surprised that they're a team that I like everything they've done when it comes to how this team has been put. It's a good squad. I think it's capable of being a team that goes the distance again, or being a team that is at least able to just need to, change up some pieces, or I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I feel like it's a very easy, retooling. Either you believe in the development of your players, or you think there needs to be something else done. I personally think, hey, look at what this squad is capable of. We've seen guys like, let's just look at the free agency class. I feel like I'm rambling right here. And I think Jackson, Holiday, and Contavious Caldwell-Pope should be replaced. They're going to have the rest of the roster, if we're looking at it right now. Let's say if the Nuggets do move on from those guys, how much money is going to be left? That, again, 171 is the floor. And I think if they're just in the first apron, which is just over 171, so if they can move off of that Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Blacko, Chanchar, which right there you're already at like 17.7, and you assume that Reggie Jackson, that's about $23 million, which would literally put you at underneath the luxury tax, and you go out, and then you would have to, let's say you trade that first round pick for 2 second round picks, and in the second round you go out and get, for example, a Coleman Hawkins, put him on a cheap deal, maybe convert Colin Gillespie. Maybe you put Coleman Hawkins on a two-way. You put Colin Gillespie and maybe Braxton Keefe. You like both of them at the end of your bench. And even then, if that's not what you want to do, if you want to keep, maybe you think Coleman or a guy like Harrison Ingram, or you go and get a Dylan Jones or a Terrence Shannon. I think those are all, or Deron Holmes, or like I said earlier, Tyler Kolek, a Reese Beekman. And you put them at the end of your bench, and you get that, you're going to be able to, still have some cap space, and maybe avoid the luxury tax altogether, or be just over it. And the same thing, still have room to go out and get a veteran, maybe get a Buddy Hield or a Kelly Oubre on a cheap deal, or go out and get a Malik Beasley, or give Sadiq Bey a reclamation deal where he just does a 1-year prove-it deal. Bring in a Kyle Anderson, or get a Gary Trent again on a prove-it deal. Same thing with maybe an Isaac Okoro or a Caleb. I think Caleb's going to get paid, but DeAnthony Melton's another guy who maybe wants to show that, go on a contending team. Patrick Williams. There's the Eric Gordons, and I think there's a bunch of players that Royce O'Neal, Dario Saric, Josh Richardson, Kevin Love, Gordon Hayward's vets, young guys too, that you can go out and potentially put out there. Torian Prince, maybe a Lonnie Walker, and Najee Marshall, all options that you could go out and potentially bring in, or the Kyle Lowrys or a Goga Bitsaday. So I think the market for them to improve this team is there. They're not handicapped in a way, which I think a lot of people are happy. But that's where I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you guys think about this team? Do you think it's as easy as a fix that as I've alluded to, or do you guys think it's a bit more difficult than I've made it seem? And yeah, what would you guys do if you were in their position? I think it's definitely not as difficult as one may assume. I think it's more so, hey, this is probably what needs to be done, and the way that they go about it will depend how their future plays out. But I think if they do it correctly, they could be winning their second title in 3 years next season if they go about it correct. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, this is why this team was built by Tim Conley, not actually Mr. Calvin Booth. But to each their own. Again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys expect from this squad and why? But I do think it is absolutely fantastic what we've been able to see happen out there, because, man, it has been good basketball. So for me, I'm curious to hear your opinions. What do you guys expect and why? So the Nuggets are definitely an interesting team. So hit that like and subscribe button if you guys enjoy. Bye bye, guys. That's it for today's video. And let me know what you guys would do if you were